Hey, this is Paul from Paul Lidel Scream Therapy, and you're listening to the FANTASM Podcast.
Phantasm. Maximum terror.
That's your target audience, baby!
Phantasm.
And you know something? I sort of enjoyed it.
Phantasm.
Sell the metal! Sell the metal! Sell the metal! Sell the metal!
Phantasm.
On October 20th, although people can pre-order it now.
Okay, great.
And actually, if they go through we don't advertise this, but if they go through the PerrisRecords.com, I know people that have gotten it already.
Oh, great. Awesome.
So, and we can talk about the website address, which is just screamtherapyband.com.
Okay.
And you can find us on Facebook and Instagram, and as of recently, TikTok.
Okay.
Does anybody use TikTok? Do you use TikTok?
I do not.
Okay.
But I'm it's funny. Phantasm's been around for almost 8 years, and I'm not, my co-host is younger than me, and he's into all the social media stuff. I've never been I don't know that he's necessarily into it, it's just he just dabbles in it, but I am not at all a social media guy. So
I've gone from being not a social media guy to having dived into the deep end of it.
Oh, cool.
Over the last, say, 4 months to get ready for this record.
Okay.
So it's so now I know, except for TikTok, or am learning that there's a lot to learn.
Oh man, there's so much, and there's so much out there anyway, but it's one of those things, it's funny, as long as I've been podcasting, I literally only listen to one podcast. And I feel awful saying that, but I listen to Tom Brady's podcast, and that's it. Because I'm a big Tom Brady guy. Crushed me when he retired, but he's the only podcast I listen to, and I've been podcasting for years, but it's funny, I enjoy doing it, but I just don't listen to podcasts, and here I am trying to, put this stuff out there for people, and I love talking to bands, and I love talking to actors, because we kind of dabble in the horror end of it with Phantasm, but it's one of those things where I just don't listen to them. I think they're an incredibly great idea, and I have one, but I don't ever, other than Tom's, I don't listen to them, so I feel kind of silly podcasting, and I don't even support it like I probably should, but I promote it. I promote everything, but I just don't. I don't dabble in it myself in my personal time, but I guess that's weird.
Okay, so people can find it if they search Paul Lidel's Scream Therapy.
Awesome.
I think if they did at Paul Lidel's Scream Therapy, then it comes up.
Awesome.
And I think if you just search that, it will come up.
Excellent.
So that, and the release on Spotify, the single is called Rabbit Hole.
Okay.
And the first single is called Scream Therapy.
Awesome.
So we got the name of the band from the name of the song.
Incredible.
Because the song sums up what the band is about. So it seemed to be an apt name for the band.
No, it's perfect. And this record's incredible. Let me ask you, just to kind of kick stuff off here, So, would Dirty Looks be a good place? Is that a good jumping off point as far as your music career, or where would you like to start? I would love to just ask you some stuff about that, if that's okay.
Oh, you can ask me whatever you want.
Is that what you would consider is that the beginning of your musical journey as far as like stuff I would probably be familiar with, or would it be something else? Or
yeah, that would be the first thing. I was in Oasis and Pantera, but not that Oasis and not that Pantera.
Oh, okay. Well, I was looking at your and Dirty Looks I'm familiar with. So when did you end up in Dirty Looks? What time frame was that, like music career wise, for you?
Oh, I think that was like in '86 or so.
Okay.
And then by the time we were signed and everything, it was '87, and I think the album came out in '88.
Okay. So, how did that happen? As far as you ended up in Dirty Looks, how did that all come down?
How did I join Dirty Looks?
Yeah, how did all that happen?
The bass player of Dirty Looks used to play in a band called Harpo.
Okay.
And Harpo were gods to me. They were kind of gods of the East Coast.
Okay.
And when they would come to Rochester, which is where I'm from,
oh, awesome,
New York, it was like a huge deal. And their guitar player, whose name is John Hahn,
mm-hmm.
was a guitar idol of mine.
Oh, okay.
So when Harpo would play, I would be positioned right in front of John, watching every little move that his fingers make.
Okay.
Trying to learn from him. So by the time I actually got to meet him, he knew exactly who I was, because I was the guy that was always in the front staring at every move.
Right.
So he was the guitar player. So I wanted to be able to trade some licks and learn some stuff from him in person. So in order to do that, I had an after-hours party at my house.
Okay.
And at that after-hours party, we were trading licks back and forth. And a member of Harpo's road crew gave me a phone number and said, "There's this band called Dirty Looks, and they need a guitar player, and you should call them." And all I knew of Dirty Looks was that the bass player of Harpo was leaving or had left actually, Harpo to join this band Dirty Looks.
Okay.
That was good enough for me. That was good enough for me to drive to Pennsylvania to audition for the band.
So Dirty Looks was based out of Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
Okay.
Selinsgrove, Pennsylvania, which is a matter of fact where we played last Saturday.
Oh, cool. So Dirty Looks, I remember they were on. You guys were on Atlantic? Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. I remember their stuff,
as well as a lot of other labels, but yeah.
But I remember their stuff working in a record store in like the late 80s, early 90s. But it was one of those bands I never listened to. But I'm familiar with, like, I remember seeing the stuff. And it's one of those things where back then when I'm buying cassettes back then when I was growing up, and it was like, I remember Dirty Looks. So it was one of those things where it's like, but it was one of those, it's crazy to me how many bands would be on major labels, and it's like you would see it because record shopping for people that are younger, they don't get to experience that. They get on the internet, everything's there. But I remember going in and I remember seeing Dirty Looks albums.
Right. And I know what you mean. There's a lot of bands that I am aware of, but then it's like, wow, I don't know that I've ever even heard any songs by that band, you know?
Right.
So a case like that.
But now you did, and how many records did you do with Dirty Looks?
Like 5.
Wow, that's awesome. See, that's one of those things where it's like, I want to go check it out, and I'm sorry that I haven't got to do that before we did this interview, but I swear to God, I remember seeing the stuff, because I remember, like, when CDs were first coming out, they were in those long boxes. I remember seeing that, and I remember, I was like, wow, okay, I remember that. But this might be fun for you, but my first experience to listening to your music specifically was the Scream Therapy, which I love. That's why I was like, I've got to interview this guy. And then I start looking at like some of the stuff you've been part of. So I know as ignorant as it may come across, but I was fascinated with that because I was like, I remember that band. Like I remember selling the stuff. I remember it being I worked at a record bar, if you remember those. And
okay, yeah.
And I remember I was like a teenager, and I remember working, and I remember the CDs, and I'm like, okay, I remember this, because you figure there's so much stuff, and then grunge comes along, and it just kind of wipes out everything that I was into when I was growing up, and that's a whole other conversation. But I was always fascinated with that. So you end up getting the gig with Dirty Looks, and then 5 albums in.
Yeah, and they weren't, it was like, let me think about this. There's an album called Cool from the Wire,
mm-hmm.
and then an album called Turn of the Screw, and then there's an album called Bootlegs, and then later on there was an album called Gasoline, and then there was one called Super Deluxe.
Okay.
But those were, those last two were albums that like I did my tracks here in Texas,
okay,
and never even really saw the guys or played any shows or anything.
Oh wow!
But we just did it that way. Whereas the previous 3, and then I have tracks and songs and things on other Dirty Looks records, but I don't really count those.
Oh, okay. And then it's fascinating though. I mean, because I remember, and then Dangerous Toys. How did you end up in? This is a separate question, but I saw Dangerous Toys a bunch of times down in Florida when I was growing up.
Yeah. So I discovered Dangerous Toys had an interview at a radio station, and they handed me this box of cassettes.
Okay.
And at the time we were, touring and have a lot of time, travel time. Dirty Looks toured a lot, by the way. And so I had time to listen to, went through this box of cassettes, and, it was like, yeah, I don't like that. Yeah, I don't like that. Yeah, and I came to to Dangerous Toys, and I was like, ooh, I really like that.
Right.
And so when we played, when Dirty Looks played in Austin, Texas, our road manager said, Dangerous Toys is also playing nearby. Do you guys want to go before the show? Because they were playing earlier and we were playing later that night.
Right.
And so I was there watching the show, and was totally blown away. And I ended up backstage, and I ran into Jason.
That's cool.
And Jason goes, "You're Paul from Dirty Looks." You're Paul Lidel. He knew my last name. He said, "You're Paul Lidel from Dirty Looks." And and I was, kind of taken aback, and I said, "Wow, you're Jason." And so that was when we met, and long story short, very long story cut very short, they needed a guitar player and asked me to come down to play with them.
Awesome. Now what?
So I moved from Pennsylvania, where I was living at the time, to Austin, Texas, to play with them, and it's been 30 years now, and we're still going strong. We're playing in Boston. Is it next week?
That's fucking awesome. So I saw them. I'm trying to remember. I don't even know where that bar. I don't think that bar even exists anymore. But I saw, I guess, the debut record. I saw them, and then I saw them Hellacious Acres, and then, God, what is the? There's. I'm trying to think of the record. This would have been post Sony. I saw them. Or you may have even been in the damn band. If this would have been, I'm trying to. It's like the cover's white, and then it's.
Okay, yeah, that's called the artist formerly known as Dangerous Toys.
Yes,
and this is 1996.
Yep.
And in 1996, we went by for that album, we went by the creative, what would you call it? We said, we can do anything, but nothing that sounds like the first record.
Right.
Other than that, anything goes. So we got to experiment a lot. And so consequently, we as a band were very pleased with that record, but our fans, the people that liked, the first 3 records,
right?
It was quite a departure, and that was, which is the reason why we even considered changing the name of the band.
Oh, I see.
And that's why the album is called The Artist Formerly Known as Dangerous Toys, because it's, of course, a play on the Prince album,
which is funny,
Prince kind of thing. To the point of taking the clown, which was the icon of of Dangerous Toys, and mimicking the album cover of Prince's Love Sexy album,
which is hilarious.
Which is it was meant to sort of poke fun at the whole thing.
I love, y'all have such a great catalog. I mean, that, and the Broken Teeth stuff is killer.
Thanks.
And I had no idea, and forgive my ignorance, other than, Jason, but what a fucking great band. Now, are you guys still doing stuff with Broken Teeth as well?
I haven't played in Broken Teeth in many years.
Okay.
I played on and wrote primarily most of the music on the first 2 records.
Okay.
I started the band.
Oh, well, it's awesome.
And then songs I wrote were also on the 3rd album. But I had already moved on to a new band that was called Adrenaline Factor. Okay. And you may enjoy checking that out as well.
Oh, absolutely. Dude, you literally, it's like discovering the Scream Therapy, and then it's like just this vast catalog of awesome music you've done that I feel ignorant people listen that I was just not aware of, just because I think, right. You get, well, I mean, my favorite band on the planet is Rush. So, and there's all these people out there, oh, Geddy and Alex should do no, I don't want them doing anything under that moniker, playing those songs. I don't No, because Neil was my favorite part of that band, and I guess that's selfish as a fan, but my uncle was obsessed with them, and I didn't miss a tour from Permanent Waves all the way up to Test for Echo. We saw every tour together, my uncle and I. But
wow, that's great.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where like I never. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I said I saw Farewell to Kings.
Oh shit, that's awesome.
When they're in their white robes.
Oh, that's awesome.
And see, I started on drums.
Really?
And was a Neil Peart disciple.
Oh,
to the point where I could play the album All the World's a Stage and Farewell to Kings.
Damn.
And Hemispheres front to back on the drums, and I had my drums set up exactly like Neil Peart.
That's awesome.
4 concert toms and the 3-rack toms and the 2 kicks and all the cymbals. And I used the same drumsticks that Neil Peart used, and also shaved away using sandpaper the part on the hand grip where he did.
It's amazing.
So that might give you some indication of my my geeking out on Rush and Neil Peart.
What a maestro on the drums, and yet, but it's one of the where I think I got into them, and everything else I would listen to when I was growing up, and I got into all different other kinds of music. I was really into a lot of punk stuff, and I rode skateboards and all this other stuff. But I was into all this different music that I was into. But for whatever reason, I lived and died with Rush and Thin Lizzy. Those were my uncle's 2 favorite bands. So,
oh yeah,
those were the bands I heard the most as a kid. Never got to see Thin Lizzy, unfortunately, but he did. He saw them a bunch. I lived vicariously through my uncle, but
I did see Thin Lizzy.
Oh my God, dude, that's incredible.
And the band that played before them was a fairly unknown band at the time called AC/DC.
Holy shit.
With Bon Scott.
Wow.
And Rainbow with Ronnie James Dio.
Wow.
Headlined.
What a bill. I mean, that's the bill. So, for you, as far as Dangerous Toys, so what year was that when you joined with them?
This was 94. So
94.
When you saw us on that, if we were touring the Artist album, or
Yep.
even the album before, the Pissed album.
Pissed, I know I saw that.
Yeah. You saw either of those tours, then that was...
That's incredible. Now, as far as... I bet that was probably culture shock moving from New York to Texas.
Well, the previous, say, 8 years
Uh-huh.
to that, like I said, in 86...
Pennsylvania, right. Sorry.
But he looks. But from 86 to 94, I didn't really live in any one place any period of time. I was very nomadic. Like, I lived out of a suitcase for those 8 years.
Wow.
Because, like I said, we toured a lot, and so there was no real sense in, I have in there, but, a lot of, those are album things that, just live temporarily. And, we're on, say, we live, have an answer, like, well, right here, you're looking at it.
It's amazing to me, though. Like I said, and to jump right into Scream Therapy. When did you decide that you wanted to do this band, and even more than that, when did you start working on these songs? Was it always intended to be a new band, or was it just stuff you had been working on for a long time? Or
probably the last year has been put towards putting that together and writing it. I had another band previous to that called 99 Crimes.
Okay.
Which you may enjoy that as well.
Absolutely.
Also on Spotify. So that fell apart with the pandemic. Whereas, the shows stopped and then the interest stopped and then, everybody was moving on to other things. So, but I write songs a lot. I write all the time. And so I had, all these new songs. And the drummer of Scream Therapy, his name is Frank Kriege. Mm-hmm. And he and I have played together in various bands for like 20 years.
Wow.
And we have a chemistry, and like an intuition. Like I don't even have to tell him what I'm going to do. He can just read my body language and understand like when the song is going to do this or that.
Nice.
So we started talking about, hey, we should just jam for the hell of it. And so I started writing songs for us to jam for the hell of it. And then the songs started coming very quickly. So, and a lot of it just felt like, these things were kind of writing themselves, like they needed to be written.
Wow.
Kind of thing. And, which is then the song Scream Therapy sort of describes it, because it's like this cathartic thing of, singing about these things and writing about them is this therapeutic kind of thing that happens. So it was kind of almost more about that than writing an album for people to listen to. It was, just these songs need to be written. They insist on being written.
So obviously the first, you got the intro and then Scream Therapy, awesome way to kick the record off. What can you tell us about track 3, Alibi? I really like that one.
Yeah, that one, that's one of the few songs that's a few years older. And I had, like I said, write songs all the time, and I had written that one sort of with Dangerous Toys in mind, and this is several years back, and along with lots of others, and it never really got any traction there, but I thought it was catchy.
Oh, it
and
is.
I ran across it again one time when I was just going through different recordings, and like, oh yeah, that one. Yeah, I like that one. So we worked it up, and it seemed to work. It seemed to work really well, and I think it sort of sticks in your head. So.
Oh, I love it. What about the next track, Run? What can you tell us about that one? Like I said, I love this record. I'm just going to run through it with you.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. In Austin, Texas, in the 60s, there's this tower that's called the UT Tower. Mm-hmm. And this crazy guy went up on the tower with like a ton of guns and ammunition, and from this tower, which is really high, just started gunning people down.
God.
that were in the square below, which are, a lot of college students and everything. And just reading about it and just the so absolutely cold-blooded, calculated, it was like just this pure evilness that was just really compelling, I thought, to write about. So that song is sort of an account of that occurrence.
Wow.
And then to bring things interestingly in full circle, our bass player, Joe, at a wedding, actually met the guy that was able to go up into the tower and finally kill this guy.
Oh, shit.
So that guy was like a hero, because like this guy was going to keep killing people until somebody killed him.
Sure.
And from the way that he had done it, which was all very pre-planned, made it very difficult for them to get to him.
Wow.
And if you read about it, it's chilling, because like this guy didn't have any previous, like he could just be anybody, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like it wasn't this troubled psycho guy. It was just this normal dude.
Guy next door.
The guy next door that you don't know what's going on in his head. And, and nobody really knows, why he did that. But it was very premeditated. So that's what Run is about. And, like that whole thing is a very big deal in Austin and in Texas. And everybody, like, in Texas, a lot of people even know that guy's name.
Oh, wow.
I'll mention that, and they'll say his name, which is escaping me at the moment. But so it's a big deal, and as far as I know, there's not a song about that event, but that's what it's about.
Wow. Heavy shit. Great song. And
right.
Yeah, it's killer. This record's great. Track 5, Jagged. Oh, dude, you knocked it out of the park. This record's a lot of fun. Like I said, you've got me. I'm going to be going back into your back catalog for months. So thank you.
The Run sounds to me like the soundtrack to a movie about that event.
Yeah.
The way like the intro sounds like. I hear like police sirens and things like that.
Sure.
And then it has the dynamics where it just sounds soundtracky to me.
Oh yeah. Let's see. Track 5, Jagged Edges, which, by the way, great song, great title.
I appreciate that. That's an apology song for anybody that has mistreated a loved one. So.
Gotcha.
So I think almost everybody can relate to that.
Sure.
And, how their jagged edges can cut and draw blood no matter how hard you try.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, man, I'm just trying to be good, but boy, sometimes I slide from Jekyll to Hyde.
Right.
And there's no warning.
It's really, really cool song.
Thanks.
Yeah,
I hope people can relate to that and sort of feel that same thing.
Right.
a sense of remorse for being uncool.
Right. What about track 6, Thick of Things?
Frank said, Paul, I've never met anybody that had so much drama going on in their life that they had nothing to do with. That they didn't cause, and it just, you know. And I was like, you know, you're right. You know, one day you're flying above on silver wings, and the next you're down in the thick of things. It's like, what's the first lyric is, hey, you drama, why do you follow me around like a dog?
Right.
I try to mind my business, but you keep on tagging along. It's like, come on. I'm just trying to go around about my day, and, you know, there's all this drama circling around me. And I think that's probably the case for a lot of people as well.
Absolutely.
So that's what that song's about.
It's what a awesome track. What about track 7, Rabbit Hole?
So Rabbit Hole, the music, speaking of Rush, I thought that came from sort of a Rush kind of point of view, although that nobody that's heard it has said Rush. But that's kind of how I had it in, you know, as a reminder of like, and that song came about, I teach guitar lessons.
Okay.
And in a guitar lesson, I was teaching the student a jazz scale. And I was showing them how the scale could be used to make a rock lick or a rock riff.
Right.
And I happen to record it. And so I have literally thousands of of song ideas on my phone.
Okay.
And was going through those, as I do from time to time, and I came across that one, and I started singing along. I'm like, ooh, okay, we got a song here. And then the music sort of reminded me of sort of the anxiety that the internet gives me. And what we were talking about, you know, social media and all that, and how I will be, you know, I'll have trying to get something done, and I'll, you know, go on my phone, and then the next thing I know, I'm on the internet, and then the next thing I know, I'm down the rabbit hole. And, you know, the hour goes by, and I'm like, I don't even remember what it was that I was first trying to do. So that's what the music reminded me of, that kind of anxiety, and then the lyrics sort of followed that, and you know, with the whole sort of Alice in Wonderland kind of vibe.
I mean, yeah, it definitely, now that I think about it, I mean, I didn't think about it before, it definitely has a Rush kind of thing going on. So, very cool.
Yeah, nobody has said that.
I mean,
in fact,
you pointing it out, I mean, I think it's very much there. I didn't think about it, but now that you mention it, I think it's got a definitely Rush vibe kind of going, maybe. Weaving in and out there, you know. So that's cool. But yeah, it's...
Yeah, when I ask a lot of people who they think that song sounds like, and a lot of people are like, to say, I have no idea. So...
Well, I think it's...
Which I guess is cool.
Yeah. I mean,
I have no idea, but I really like the song, so that's a good combination of things.
Sure, absolutely. What about track 8, Burning Bridges?
That one's like, contrary to what it sounds like, is like optimistic, like burning the bridges to your past.
Right.
And, kind of not looking back and looking forward to the future and, with renewed energy and enthusiasm and, being on the other side of having gone through a very difficult time. So,
that's very relatable.
Somebody said, they heard the record and they said, wow, you're just really telling a story here. Which is certainly not intentional. But I look back on it and I was like, yeah, kind of, in a way, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not a concept album, but it's sort of a story. I mean, it's where you have the going through a very difficult time of string therapy. Where I'm the steel string wound up so tight and I feel like I'm in a crack, and
right,
snap, and all that. And then making it through that, and and then. Yeah, it's sort of a story, I think.
The afterthoughts of Paul Lidel. It's beautiful.
Well, that's why it's Paul Lidel's Scream Therapy, because that's what it is.
It's beautiful, man. Track 9, That Bullet.
Most people I know, including myself, have had a near-death experience at some point.
Unfortunately, yes.
And so anybody that has will be able to relate directly to that song.
Absolutely.
And then wondering, how many times can you dodge that bullet? So that's what that's about. And if you listen to the lyrics and you know that, then they totally make sense.
Completely relatable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've been a repo man on and off most of my life, so I've had lots of guns pointed at me.
Oh my gosh, really?
Part of the job. Yeah, I still do it. I started doing it again when COVID happened, because it's under the table and it's a lot of money for just a couple of jobs, but it's really dangerous to do. And I know that's probably not what a lot of people would think about when they think near-death experience, but that's just me sharing with you now when I listen to your song, what I'll be thinking about me lifting a car.
Yeah.
But what about track 10, Wake Up Call?
So it stands to reason, I think, that if we're building robots and the robots are getting smarter,
right,
and they can do now amazing things, and they've only started, and they're learning to learn, and so that song just says, okay, before you know it, they're going to learn how to build other robots. And if they are, self-aware and can build other robots, that's a new species.
Yep.
But not organic.
Correct.
And if that's the case, then the human race gets really insignificant, because they'll become smarter and smarter and obviously stronger and stronger.
No illness.
What's that?
No illness. They don't get sick. They don't have to sleep.
Well, yeah. So it's the wake up call, kind of against, really just pointing out that AI will ultimately bring that to happen. I don't even think there's anything we can do about it, but just if you think about the future, it seems like it would be logical, if you just think, this, then that, then robots very likely will take things over.
Yeah, I'm a big horror movie and sci-fi fan. It's like living the Terminator. I'd rather not do that, but it seems like it really seems like it's all kind of unraveling. You see these actors and directors are, they're mad about AI doing this and that. I don't even know what all the arguments are, but it's just kind of scary. I think about it more in the terms of like your song, where it's like where they kind of just take over things, and it sounds generic saying this. People listening to this think but I mean it's the Terminator. It's fucking scary, I think, but I don't know.
Except for instead of coming from the future, we're just creating it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's terrifying.
But it also, terrifying and terrifyingly inevitable.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think we're...
because, they can pass all the laws they want to, but as soon as somebody can profit, especially militaristically, with building better, bigger, and better robots and smarter robots, then they'll do it. Oh yeah.
Well, the thirst for technology, people seem to be so wrapped up in going further. At some point, I just wish somebody would go, when do we stop? When is too much technology? I don't know, but
yeah, exactly.
I don't think there's people asking those questions, unfortunately, that are in control of it. So
no, and so that's the wake up call. It just says, yeah, this is what's probably going to happen. It doesn't say, that there's anything we can do about it.
Yeah, it's heavy shit.
When you tell somebody, yeah, this human race thing that we think is going to go on for a long, long time, probably not. That's not a very popular or uplifting sentiment.
But I think it's not. But it's in my opinion, it's a realistic observation, and
it's like it just kind of dawned on me one day. Like, oh crap!
I'm probably the worst person to have you enforce that, or for me to reinforce you with that. But I'm a conspiracy theorist anyway. So I think that's a very realistic thing that does not rely on a conspiracy theory. It just feels like evolution, unfortunately, of thirst for more technology. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
so I'm anything but political or anything like that. But that's the most current events kind of thing that kind of goes on in my mind.
That's brilliant. I think. Great song, too. Yeah, you're welcome. Track 11, Ghosts of Yesterday. What about that track?
That's just about and relatable by people that have had the guts to get out of a bad situation. When you're in a bad situation, it takes a certain amount of of guts to get yourself out of it and to just, just kind of cut and run.
Right.
So that's what that's about. I think anybody that has done that or would like to do that, and get on to the other side, can relate to that song. The ghosts of yesterday tell me to run. Now you see me, now you don't.
Right.
Don't look for me because I will be gone,
Very relatable as well. Track 12, Stir Crazy.
Well, written, March, April, probably May. In May of 2020.
Okay.
Nobody knew. By then everything had shut down, pretty tight. And nobody knew how long it was going to last. And, for a little while it was sort of interesting. It's like, oh, yeah, don't really have to go anywhere. And then after a certain point, it's like, oh man, this is getting really bad. So, so I just thought about it. It's like, I wore a mask to the bank like it was just another day.
Right.
How freaky are these times? This is kind of historic, where you would wear a mask to the bank.
Right.
Something you would ordinarily get shot for doing, right?
Right.
But here you have to wear a mask and gloves to the bank, and you're required to do it. It's like, that is just wild. So that phrase popped into my head, and I'm like, oh, there needs to be a song about that. So, what is it? I stay awake till the daybreak, wake up at the crack of 2.
Right.
Binge watching Netflix, and can't find nothing better to do. So, I think everybody on the planet can probably relate to that.
Oh, yeah, that... Now,
I've been smoking like a fish and drinking 3 packs a day. You start... I don't know about other people. I started getting a little heavier into vices when I didn't have any place that I needed to be. So,
were you creative during that time, or did you just kind of shut down? Because I know most of the artists I've spoke with about it, like they were either incredibly creative, they had a lot of time to work on music, or they just mentally were just smoked. They're just done. Just what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, I was in the second boat. I was not creative at all. I guess partially because there was some question as to what even was going to happen to music. Is there a reason to write these songs? But I think that's why once it started to lift, having had probably a good solid year of non-creativeness, was I'm sure that was the longest dry spell of my life.
Okay.
As far as writing songs, because I always written songs, and then so coming out of that, when I started to write again, it just came like a flood.
It's interesting though. I'm telling you, you probably know this, just other musicians, but it seemed like people were either completely shut down creatively, or they were wide open creatively during it. I haven't met anybody on any of the other spectrum. It's one or the other. It sounds weird, but it was very black and white. It was either you were very creative or you were just like, what the fuck is going on?
Right. Yeah, my priorities also shifted over to like creating instructional videos for my YouTube channel and things like that.
Cool.
Which involved trying to learn a whole lot of new things about video editing and things like that. So I took on new ventures that I wouldn't have otherwise. But yeah, so my creativity definitely took a little bit of time off. So after Stir Crazy, which was written before that was the last song. Between Stir Crazy and whatever song came next, there was at least a year.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So Stir Crazy was the last one. And that was written sort of at the beginning of the pandemic, but far enough into it where it was like, you're starting to feel like, oh man, what the hell?
Right. What about the final track, Silence Never Lies?
That's just like, the full-on rocker song, and just talking about when, if somebody's just being quiet, that can be saying just as much as if they were talking a lot, which is what that title is about.
Right.
Yeah, and that one, I think the music for that one came pre-pandemic. That was like right at the beginning of it, and so it wasn't until after the pandemic that like the lyrics and melodies and everything came for that, and that was like, yeah, I had that riff. I really like that riff.
Right.
It was kind of, I thought it reminded me of like an Aerosmith kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
Early Aerosmith, like something off of, say, Rocks. Or,
yeah.
That was the vibe of it anyway. I mean, I'm sure other people might hear of it as different other things, but.
So, as far as have you got to play a lot of the Scream Therapy stuff live yet?
We've done one show.
Okay, how did that go?
It was awesome. It was well received, and the band sounded great. We'll have a video from the show for the song Rabbit Hole, which is the second single.
Awesome.
The first single was Scream Therapy, and the second single, which just came out, a few days ago.
Awesome.
2 or 3 days ago, called Rabbit Hole, and we'll have a video that was filmed at that show. And that we should have any day now.
That's awesome.
And then we'll be releasing a third single, which I believe is going to be Run.
Oh, it's a good song.
Coming up here near the end of the month.
That'll be exciting for you. This record, man, I can't tell you how great it is. It's really the complete package. And apologies.
I really appreciate that.
Apologies again on my ignorance on a lot of your back catalog. It's going to give me months of joy to go through that stuff. I'm actually excited about it.
Well, that's the fact that you really like the record, in spite of knowing much about my history, is I think is really cool.
Well, thank you. I really do like, and I'm actually excited. I think it's hilarious at people listening to this that I saw you and didn't even know. I mean, hell, in the 90s, I was stoned or drunk at probably every show I was at. I was a fucking dumbass back then, but, you know, I was always out having fun. But really, man, for real, this record is outstanding. And your production you did on it, I wanted to point out, you did a fabulous job on the production.
Oh, well, thank you. The engineer, his name is Matt Bray.
Mm-hmm.
He had a whole lot to do with that. And then the guys that mastered it also had a lot to do with it. Brian Lee and Chris Wood.
Great job.
And like the recording of the album was real fast. Like, recorded it in no time, and then but the mixing and mastering took quite some time because I'm picky. And I would say, no, that's not it.
Right.
You need more of this or less of that, and until it finally came out like it did, and I'm really happy with it. So it's great to be able to put it on and listen to it and go, yeah, I really like the way that sounds and the way it came across and everything. So it's really a great feeling to have an album that you're 100% behind.
Oh, yeah.
And happy with. So
now, one last question about Dangerous Toys. So, are you still in Dangerous Toys? Are y'all still doing stuff, or?
Yeah. We've played. Let's see. Last couple months, we've done Austin. We played in Hollywood at the Whiskey.
Nice.
In Denver. And like I said, we're going out to Boston. And we are also recording a new album. It's coming along very slowly, but the songs are really cool.
Y'all get that thing ready, man. You and Jason, come on. I'd love to have y'all on and talk about it.
Oh, totally, yeah.
I'd absolutely love to do that for you. This, like I said, this Scream Therapy record, dude, it's really good. I really like it. You knocked it out of the park, and I love. It's such an interesting group of songs because I listened to the record, before we did this interview. Actually last week, and I was like, man. So to actually find out what the song's about, it's fascinating. So. Just gives you...
This is my first chance to talk about that. So a lot of the things, when you ask me, well, what's that song or what's up with that song? I'm like, I've really been asked that before. So that was really fun.
Yeah, man. This, like I said, it's been a pleasure. I didn't mean to talk your head off. I know this kind of ran over here. Kids, check out Paul Lidel's Scream Therapy. It's fucking kicks ass. It comes out on Perris Records October 20th. It's fabulous. But yeah, man, it's great.
It's on streaming services. Those two songs are on Spotify and Apple Music and all those things.
Listen right now.
Now, yeah. And then and before too long, it'll be on, the whole album will be up on the Spotify site and everywhere.
Awesome.
But people are getting the CD or pre-ordering the CD now.
Yeah, man. It's this, like I said, this thing's great. It really is. But yeah, man, this record's killer. I wish you all the best with it.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
I'll stay in touch with you if that's cool, and if you and Jason want to come on, we can talk Dangerous Toys when you want to drop that bad boy. I'll be happy to promote that for you whenever.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I can't thank you enough for taking the time to do this today. Sorry about last week. I know I didn't realize when I booked all that, because they just send me a thing like, hey, book it. And I was like, okay, I didn't know you were trying to do a show and shit, or I wouldn't have done that last week. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, that's all right. I just, when it was scheduled, I was going to try to figure out when I could do it, on the road. But when it was scheduled, I was in flight.
Oh shit! Well, I'm sorry about that. They don't tell me any of that in advance, so I'm just shooting in the dark. It's like, oh, okay, how about this? So. But
yeah, that's fine.
But I didn't mean to bug you with that. But I can't thank you enough for taking the time to do this today. And I wish you all the best.
Pleasure. Yeah, please stay in touch.
Yeah, man. And I'll shoot you the interview over. I'll text it to you if that's cool when we get the interview up. That way you'll have the links to it and everything.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
We're on everything. Whatever it is my co-host uses, he does all the tech stuff. But it goes all over everything. We're on Amazon. Wherever. If you look up FANTASM Podcast, we're everywhere. So it gets out there. Our audience is surprisingly, apparently. What's that? I'm sorry.
Would this be an audio?
Oh yeah, it's audio only. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then all our stuff is, but what I'm saying, it's everywhere. Like, people can listen when I send you the link. But if they the link I'll send you is for whatever, but they can find our stuff and our interview when we get it up. It'll be all over everything. They can listen to it, Apple or Amazon or wherever the hell they want to listen to it. YouTube, we're all over the place. Spotify, we're everywhere. Anywhere a podcast is, we're there. So.
Oh, well, that's great.
Yeah, so it'll get out there. People can listen to it however they want to, and all that fun stuff. But yeah, man, I'd love if you came back on with Jason. That would be the shit. I would love to promote that for you too, and we can round 2 of the next Scream Therapy record. We can do that too. Anything you want to ever promote, I'm happy to have you on. It's been a pleasure speaking with you today.
All right, it's been a pleasure for me as well.
Phantasm.
And you know something? I sort of enjoyed it.